Hey everyone, welcome to Sonic Perspectives. I'm John Macaluso. I'm here with my buddy Rodrigo, and we are ready to rock. And I wanted to do this first before anybody. When there's some good news, I got to go through Sonic Perspectives. So here we are.
Here we are. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another interview of Sonic Perspectives. I'm Rodrigo, and my guest today, as you can tell, is not just a musician, he's also a friend of us at Sonic Perspective. It's a guy I like to call the Rocky Balboa of drums, Mr. John Macaluso. John, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited about it, man.
Yeah. Well,
Always.
it's been a while since we did an interview, and the last time we spoke, I had COVID actually as we were doing the interview. So anything is an improvement over that situation. But here we are.
Hey, I'm gonna have to
Uh,
I've been playing drums for so long and with Malmsteen too. So this year is not so good. If you
uh,
see me doing this,
uh,
I'm not being strange. I just can't hear.
that's
So,
okay. That's
yeah.
okay.
All right.
So
I got you, man.
yeah.
I'm gonna
So
put it in closer.
yeah. So you have a new book to promote now about linear drumming. Tell me all about it.
So linear drumming, I was introduced to it when I first started playing drums,
Hmm.
but it wasn't really called linear drumming. It was just separate notes.
Hmm.
Technically, the disco beat is linear. What linear is no two notes connect at the same time.
Hmm.
So everything is separate. So when I was a kid, I mean, it sounded cool, but what really attracted me was when I had the Rush Hemispheres album and the song La Via Strangiano, right?
Yeah.
And Neil Peart did and I was
Uh,
like, what the hell is that? I know it's less notes, but it actually sounds like more than if you were to go. And I was attracted to it from way back then. But when I lived out in California, I'm from New York, but I moved to
mhm.
California to go to school, PIT. So in 1986, I went to a drum clinic with one of my favorite drummers, Terry Bozzio.
Yeah.
And the guy who opened up was a dude named Sonny Emery. And he came out and he ripped it up, feel, groove. He was flipping the sticks that were landing in his mouth, and he was never making a mistake. Solid groove, but he was doing really technical. It looked like just fills you couldn't figure out. And it wasn't your typical.
Hmm.
And I said, what is that? So he handed out, and it was called linear drumming. And I remember the first beat. It was like left hand on a hi hat, which was kind of cool too, because I was a Billy Cobham fan. And it was like, and then he sped it up. When he got to the sheet, I wanted to go home. I just wanted to go home and practice. I mean, Bozio is one of my favorite, but I was like, this is special. And that started it all. Sonny doesn't know it, and I don't know who. I never met him, but now
Right.
since the book is released, I'm going to contact them. Basically, I took the linear concept, and when you might have first heard me play it was on Ark's first album. There's a drum fill in Where the Winds Blow.
Hmm.
It's linear. So the style technically comes from R&B and gospel, but I brought it into prog and metal.
Yeah.
And after all these years, I just finished a book on it. So it's all linear.
Yeah. And you can switch between techniques during the song or during song, you can do linear and then non-linear afterwards, or
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
the guy, my hero is Joe Franco.
Hmm. Yeah.
Joe Franco has helped me a lot. And with this book, he actually wrote the foreword in the
Hmm.
book. And Joe is just the best. And Joe is a like more rock drummer, and he digs in and he plays things connected. So linear is
Hmm.
something he didn't study much. And here's the cool thing. When I met Joe, I was going through his book, and now I put this book out and he's going through my book. So it's exciting to know Joe Franco's linear stuff. And he's like, it's weird because I'm used to connecting. I'm used to digging in with a hi-hat and bass drum. With linear, it's like walking a tightrope and no
Right.
net because
Right.
nothing is connected. So in the book, you'll find I have tricks like a thing called the prime note. So
Mm.
if I'm playing a linear beat, it's not easy to be solid because it's all separate, but you got to think of one note that feels comfortable.
Yeah.
And when it comes again, and so you got to make an anchor for yourself. And
Right.
then it's all about balance. It's about balance, and there's so much you can do with linear. I'll get into it with you, but
Yeah.
yeah, Joe Franco did the foreword, and the book is called Linear Rock Drumming, and the subtitle is important. It's called Linear Rock Drumming, United Sounds of Separation. And
Yeah.
it came out Friday.
Yeah, and we're gonna add the link for anyone to order as we post edit the interview. But it's not a regular book where you flip through the pages. It's more of an interactive experience, right?
Wait, one more time, dude.
It's not a regular book where you flip through the pages. It's more of an interactive experience, right?
Yeah, it's with
Yeah.
Hudson Music, who, by the way, is the best publisher for drum books. And
Yeah.
Hudson Music, I mean, I opened up the website and it's Steve Gadd. I'm like, okay, this is good. You know what I mean? So they put a lot of great books out. It's an ebook because in actuality, I like to play drums even when I'm not working. So I'm used to having a book and I'm reading something or writing something. And I'm used to paper, like beer stains and spaghetti stains, and it's ripped up. And it looks like my mother gave it to me before school. It says John Macaluso. I write my address on it in case I lose it. You know what I mean? But times have changed.
Yeah.
So basically, it's an ebook.
Mhm.
And at first, I was like, oh man, I want a book, the
Mhm.
spaghetti stained, ripped apart book. And I'm finding out that all my students, they just take an iPad and they get an ebook and they put it in front. And that's the way they study. And here's the cool thing about it. If I had this when I was young, it would have been amazing. If I
Yeah.
have a question about an example, like chapter 5, example 2, there's a little arrow next to the number. I press the arrow and a video comes up. So I did
Right.
video with the examples. I'm like, this is witchcraft. How does this happen? You know what I mean?
Right.
Things have got incredibly advanced. And
Yeah.
to me, I'm like, yabba dabba doo, that's cool.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. It's amazing. It's really clean and easy to read. And if you can't read it, you watch the video.
Yeah. I was looking at the website and it does have Steve Gadd in there, Carmine
Oh, yeah.
Appice, Rod Morgenstein, Stuart Copeland, all legends in their own right, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
Good company.
of course. Yeah. And
Yes.
in the previous interview that we did, you explained the concept behind linear drumming. Are there like any popular rock or metal songs that use this technique that you can point your finger at?
No.
You mentioned La Via Stanriato, right? Yeah.
I'm trying to think myself. I mean,
Mm.
yeah, but usually there's one connection between a hi-hat and a foot. I can't
Yeah.
think of any popular song you might know that's only linear,
Hmm.
you know? Um, there's a lot of advantages to it musically.
Mm.
Because if you think now, the most popular rock beat, Queen, We Will Rock You, right?
Yeah.
So it's done with a board and hand claps. We all know the story.
Hmm.
But if you were to take that beat and play it on your drum kit, boom, boom, ba, boom, boom, ba, that's eighth notes. If I want to put 16th notes between the main beats, I get this.
Hmm.
So now that's a complete new world now.
Hmm.
So if I want to go around the kit and make a melody with the groove, throw in some bells, you always still hear boom, boom, ba, boom. So Joe Franco called it the battle cry. The battle cry of the book is the beat remains the same.
Awesome. Yeah, it
Because
does.
the
Yeah.
band will love you because you're not changing the beat. It's still boom, boom, ba. But between, I used it a lot on the 2 Mike Romeo albums,
Hmm.
War of the Worlds 1 and War of the Worlds 2, because Romeo said, follow my kick pattern and do whatever you want to do. So I got
Right.
his kick, but between is like, it's like, but
Yeah.
it's cool because you can
Yeah.
act like the whole book. I'll get to it, but on the 23rd chapter, the last chapter, there's 23 chapters. by that 23rd chapter, you know enough of the concepts where you could actually start writing music with the band only on drums because you got rhythm, time signature, and melody. And you're like, guys, just take a break. I'm going to write this song. I'll get back to it. Guitar player, you follow my hi-hat. Here's the cool thing, man. Guitar player, you follow my hi-hat. Bass player, you follow my kick. Keyboard player, if you're not at another gig or you got nowhere to go because they're always so busy. Keyboard player, you play my snare drum. So now we got like everybody separate, but when you play it together, it's united. You know what I mean? It's so cool because when it connects, you can do things that if it wasn't linear, you could never do.
Yeah.
So the beat remains the same, and the subtitle means that at the end, all the separate things you've learned are connected.
Yeah.
And you're trying to make,
I'm surprised other prog bands don't use that technique because, you know, it fits perfectly the concept of a prog metal band, right?
Yeah, I mean, the actual technique of everybody playing a different instrument, no, a different part of my drum set, I never heard. I'm sure it's been done. Everything's been done.
Yeah.
But if I don't know about it, it hasn't been done. Yeah. I mean, I've heard linear grooves, obviously. You've heard linear grooves. Bozio is crazy with them. But as far as you would dig this, man.
Yeah.
In the book, which chapter is it? In the book, I have a thing. It's a chapter called Your Favorite Drummer's Beats. It's chapter number 7. So one of the first examples, I take Tom Sawyer.
Oh,
and it's like,
very cool.
Yeah. So then I linear it, which means now you can't touch. So it's and then I play it on the toms, but I keep the backbeat. A couple of bells in. Before you know it, it sounds like it's from Africa or something. And it's still Tom Sawyer.
Yeah.
So the whole point of chapter 7 is morning. Basta. Hey, vieni qua, morning. Vieni qua. Yeah, so what it is, I tell everybody, take one of your favorite drummers' beats and you got to disguise it. Try to like change the tempo completely. Like Tom Sawyer in the book, I do. You would never know it's Tom Sawyer. And you change the time. No, you change the tempo, but also if the original groove was on a cowbell, play it on a floor tom. Just disguise it. So it's called Your Favorite Drummer's Beats Incognito. I do Money Floyd. I do We're Not Gonna Take It from Twisted Sister.
Oh.
And you would never know in the end. So it's like borrowing things, but using your own, taking something, borrowing it, and trying to make it original. So it's just one concept of the book.
Yeah, I'm sure even you would have gotten a kick out of this because he had a thing for Africa and for African beats as well. Some of it he borrowed and used in Rush songs. So yeah. He cycled in West Africa and wrote a book about it. And there's one beat that he used in a song called Scars that came from his travels in West Africa. So he would have loved it, man. Yeah.
Exactly. Like I mean, there's a section in the book that's called what is it? Global local beats. And in the book, there's stories. So not stories. It's kind of like there's 2 paragraphs talking about how to do the chapter and the theory. And then usually the second paragraph is like where I got it from. And your favorite chapter, what do you call it? A global local beats chapter is from traveling around the world, meeting people, playing a gig at night. I might go hang out at some party in some strange house somewhere. You know what I mean? That's the way life was. That's the way you really can get something you wouldn't get from like a tourist place or, what I mean? So I met local people from all over the planet. I mean, New Zealand, Australia, France, Austria. My mother is still saying, John, is Vienna the middle? Is it a beautiful place? I'm like, I don't know, but they have a middle. They got a center. Because I'm
Right.
always like hanging out kind of with the local people and everything, trying to meet people, get new ideas. So the whole chapter is based on actual rhythms I got from people I met around the planet, which is kind of
Hmm.
cool because it's completely original. And since I don't remember their names, the next day I don't even remember their faces. No,
Right.
the only thing I can do is, I mean, the way to thank them all is I just put all the beats in the book from Greece and from you know, all different places around the world. And it's a cool chapter. It's a really cool chapter,
Yeah.
you know. And I in return, what I would do is I would show them some beats that I might have known, you know. So
Right.
it's like it's a good way to meet people. I met
Yeah.
friends for life that way, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And it's just something cool. I brought it into the book.
Yeah. And you moved from New York, I think, to California to study and then to Italy. How did that inform your drumming, if at all?
Wait, what was that? How did what?
Like moving to Italy, did that inform your drumming in any way? Did that change your approach, or it adds to your
Well,
experience, right? To your life experience, I guess.
yeah. I mean, what happened was when I left New York, I went to PIT in
Hmm.
Hollywood, and it was 86. It was like the time in life where everyone on the planet was going to this one place to try to get famous. Like
Hmm.
every grandma wanted to be an actress. Every guy wanted to be a rock star. You know, I mean, it was like that one time, and it was possible. I mean, there was big record deals. Everything was there. That's good and bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I stayed for 3 years. It was like getting out of Vietnam when I left. I was like, California. Because think about it, man. I'm from New York, and it's basically 3,500 miles away.
Yeah.
In Europe, that would be a complete other country, like
Yeah.
way beyond another
A
country.
few
So
countries, a few countries.
exactly, like half of Europe.
Yeah.
So it's a different place, and it was a different experience, and it's not what I expected. It was very
Mm.
raw. And it's amazing because when I landed, they're like, "You're from New York. Do you carry a gun?" Like, they're scared of New Yorkers. And I'm like, you know, night number two above our house, there was like a police helicopter with
Gee.
the light in the backyard.
Mm.
So it was very, at such a young age, I just turned 18. I mean, it was cool. You learn a lot and you have some crazy times, but at the same time, it was really dark. It was a dark kind of place. So
Mm.
I call it a sunny place for shady people. Yeah, so I mean, after California, I moved back to New York, and then I did Power Mad, and then TNT, and I started from TNT. Actually, no, Paul Hansen album. I went to Germany in 1988, and I just loved Europe at that point.
Mm.
I got the TNT gig, ended up living in Norway, Sweden, and then I started ARC. We lived in
Yeah.
France, you know, Sweden. We went around. So most of my life, I think, at this point, has been in Europe, and then
Mhm.
I moved back to America for a while. And we're going to do it again. We're going to start ARC again. That was the plan, right?
Yeah.
So the guitar player and me, we're going to do it again for like the 20th time. And I moved to Sweden to start ARC. And within a month or two, we broke up. And I said, I'm not going back to New York, man. I sold my car, no apartment. And a friend of mine said, John, come to Italy. You can stay at my house and we can play and you could maybe do a drum clinic. 13 years. It happened 13 years ago. I never left. So it was unplanned and it's a beautiful place. And
Right.
yeah, musically it did a lot for me because it's a completely different head and tradition than we grew up with, you know?
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
totally different vibe, you know?
Yeah. I haven't been to Riesti where you live, but I've been to Italy. I spent, I think, 2.5 weeks in there in 2012, a long time ago. It's such an awesome place, man. The food is
Where'd you go?
insanely good. Yeah, I ran the Rome Marathon and we just traveled around a little bit. Tuscany, Venice, all those touristy places, Pisa, etc. So maybe it's time to go back again. I don't know.
I've been all over the place, but everybody tells me, don't go to Pisa. It's only the tower. I'm like, yeah, that's what Americans have to see. We
That's
got to
all
do
there
this
is.
stupid. Did you do that? Did
I
you make
did.
believe you're not?
Yeah, the pictures and yeah, that's all there is in there. Nothing
Yeah, I
much.
mean,
Yeah.
have you been to Rome?
I have. I ran the Rome Marathon in 2012.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I'm like about an hour away from Rome. It's
Uh-huh.
called Rieti.
Uh-huh.
Rieti, and it's the center of Italy. There's like a little monument it looks like a piece of cheese with lights.
Right.
And yeah, so they call it the belly button, the umbilico
Right.
of Italy. It's the direct center.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you've probably seen a million pictures. Any band member or a guy who wants to come jam from everywhere, we always go to the cheese. I'm like,
Right.
this is the center of Italy. There's pictures all over. Yeah,
That's
but it's a
awesome.
great place to live, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, you've established yourself as a session musician. Do you miss touring at all? Is this something you'd go back to, or not?
Wait, what was that?
You established yourself as a session musician or a studio musician. Do you miss touring at all? Is this something you'd go back to eventually or not?
Nah, I'm only going to tour if it's something really good,
Mm,
or somebody phenomenal. Like I always tour with Jennifer Batten every time she comes.
yeah.
You know, I love touring, but you know what it's become? It's become such a strange thing. Like they'll book a tour and a lot of the bands or the managers to save money, there's not even a rehearsal.
Mm,
Like sound check is rehearsal. And
shit.
I like to sound like I want to, even if I'm new to the band or I'm just filling in, I want to sound like I've been in that band for 10 years. So it's
Yeah.
always the same
Yeah.
story. Come on, it's easy for you. Just don't worry, just jam, learn the beginning, learn the end. And then I do the gig and I'm like, you forgot that, you forgot that. I really want to, when I go out on stage, it has to be tight. It has to be a good thing. And
Yeah.
a lot of the tours lately have been kind of nickel and diming. They fly you in, no
Yeah.
rest, right to sound check, first gig. Come on, we got to leave, jump in the van. I'm not being like Mr. Prima Donna, but
Yeah.
I find that it's better to continue to make records and actually start my own band again and do original music.
Mhm.
Then I want to go back on tour. I mean, I still do tours, but I do have a new band I'll talk to you about later.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
We'll talk
that's
about
going to
that.
be
Yeah.
something fun
Yeah.
and great.
Yeah. Let me ask, before we go into that, let me ask you about an album you did with a friend of mine, Rod Rodriguez, Tales of a
He's
Changing
great.
Life Part 2.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal, man.
Yeah.
He's unbelievable. You know him personally?
I do. Yeah. We go to concerts together. We're going to see King Diamond on Sunday together, me and him.
Is it Hal playing bass?
Yeah.
Hal on bass?
Hal Patino, I don't think he's in the band anymore. I think it's someone else. Yeah.
Buddy of mine from Denmark, great guy.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, you got to say hi to Rod. He's amazing, man.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Will do. Will do for sure. Yeah. I'm actually doing an interview with him shortly, later this week to promote his album. Yeah. It's
He sent
awesome.
me a video a while back of
Mm.
them playing. I think it was the song "Burn the Sun" from Ark, or
Yes. Yeah.
it was an Ark song.
Hmm.
And actually, the guys that are on the video that we did, I recorded one song on Rod's album,
Hmm.
and they made a video. And the guys in the video are the same guys that did the Ark thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. He
well,
interchanges people for his album, but I think it's the same guys that
yeah,
did his album.
killer guitar player, and he seems like a really cool dude, man.
He is. Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we go to concerts together all the time. I met him at a Greg Howe concert and I approached him, hey, are you Brazilian? Because, we bonded over both being Brazilian and we had just arrived here in Canada. So yeah, he's a cool dude for sure. Yeah.
Oh, big time, big
Yeah.
time. How do you like
Yeah.
living in Canada?
Man, it's good and bad. Taxes are a little excessive at the moment, and the winter
Yeah.
months are approaching and they're harsh. But overall, it's been good. Our daughter is like 10 years old now, so she's fully adapted to Canada. We're gonna stay. So
Yeah, yeah. You've
yeah.
been there for 10 years, you said?
We've been here for almost 8 years. She got here when we got here, she was 2, and now she's 10. So
Wow.
yeah, long time, long journey, but yeah, it altogether it does pay off in the end. So we're
Yeah,
staying
yeah,
for the time
yeah.
being. Yeah, yeah. So now let me ask you about this band that you just announced with Michael Abdahl of Fate's Warning. What can you tell me about the
Unbelievable.
sound direction? What are the plans, etc.?
Yeah, the crazy thing, like, I never, like, I met Mike now, but
Mm,
maybe like 2 years ago, he contacted me,
mm.
and I was deep into this book. This book took me a long time. In actuality, it took me 13 years.
Wow.
And I'm not talking about putting it in a drawer and taking it out again. I'm talking 13 years of doing the whole book.
Continuously. Yeah.
complicated.
Hmm.
Now let me start it again. It's too simple. Boom. Now it's too schizophrenic. And I really wanted to make a linear book because it's such an important concept. For example, I went to Sardinia many times, the island off Italy, and there's drum schools everywhere. And I taught all these drummers linear, and the whole island now is like they all play the linear stuff,
Right.
and it's just so cool that they get so much attention because unless you really know what's happening in linear, it looks like what the hell's going on, and also on record, it's very difficult to figure out, you know. So I saw the importance of doing this linear thing and bringing it into rock music, you know. So I started to write the book and write the book and write the book, and then no, not ready yet. So me saying my book will almost be done, that phrase has been heard more than Dark Side of the Moon.
It's in all the other interviews that we did, you talk about that book. So now it's finally released.
So yeah, so like
Yeah.
about 2 years ago, I got a message from Mike Abdel, and I knew he played in Fates Warning. In fact,
Yeah.
with Power Mad, we toured with everybody in 1989. And Fates Warning, it was the Perfect Symmetry tour.
Okay.
And Mark Zonda, and we toured with them for a while. And I was like, wow, this band is great. So when Mike contacted me, I was like, well, if you were in Fates Warning back in '89, the guy's like, dude, I think he says I'm born in like '84 or something. I
Yeah.
mean, like he's a lot younger than me.
Yeah.
But I started to check out his Fates Warning stuff, but also his solo stuff. And I was
Yeah.
like, this guy's great. He's
He is.
great, man. And I was writing a book and I would always go, hey, man, I can't wait to do this. We're going to do it. Trust me. Just wait. Just wait. And he was cool the whole time. Like he understood it's going to happen. Eventually, I was almost done with the book and I opened up my studio. So I had ways to record and start writing with him. So I laid down a drum track. I sent it to him and he wrote the coolest thing. He just wrote the coolest thing. But when the guitar solo came, solo record. And I told him, I was honest from the beginning. I go, everything's great, but it's too guitar-y. Without saying anything, he totally understood. He sent. I was like, you're genius, man. He's genius. So the style, believe it or not, it's almost, it's very trippy, very spacey, heavy in parts. You can't really call it prog, but we do a lot of things like him using a lot of weird pedals and different sounds. And me, I play kind of like live electronic sound. You know what I mean? Like the way I use a couple of electric drums. Sometimes we make loops, but it's all live. There's no quantize, and that's what makes it different. So if we're playing to a loop that we made ourselves, you know, we don't like take it from the internet or program it. It's basically done with me playing a drum groove, and we'll quantize that and make that a loop.
Okay.
And then we play real musicians on top of it. So it gives like a deep feel. It's like Led Zeppelin meets Marilyn Manson or Nine Inch Nails when it comes to the feel. I mean, you know. There's touches of Pink Floyd, there's touches of Porcupine Tree. And when it gets heavy, I really can't describe it because it doesn't sound like traditional metal.
Right.
And the way we do, but it is heavy. Metal people are going to love it. And I use a lot of split rhythms. There's really no, it's really, and then we'll go really dynamic. I use a lot of bells and weird stuff. And he's just a genius writer, man. So we write two ways. I record drums like an arrangement. That's what I did on my solo album. I send it to him and he writes over it. And some of the tracks, he writes something, he puts the click track, he sends it to me and I record. So we're both trading off with the writing thing and we're halfway done. We're more than halfway done. We got like 3 more.
Who else is in the band? No one else yet? Or
I'm not going to mention the singer, but we got a great bass player from Boston. And another thing, man, I don't want to make a project. Like a project is for science class. You know, when you're dissecting a frog with the beakers and the, you know what I mean? Bunsen burner. I don't want a science project. so this is a real band. And it was Mike's idea. He's like,
Mhm.
we should get a European band and I fly over to Europe, or we should get American band and you fly to America. And I said,
Mhm.
that sounds like a great idea. So everybody's in the vicinity of Massachusetts.